Welcome to another episode of Explained by AI, where we dive deep into breastfeeding versus formula feeding.
Oh, this is a hot topic.
It always sparks debate, so we're going to cut through all the noise and give you a clear comparison, just the facts.
The goal is to help you feel empowered to make the best choice for you.
Exactly.
So let's start with breast milk.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating how the composition actually changes over time to meet your baby's needs.
Really?
Yeah, it's like personalized nutrition,
It's amazing.
constantly evolving to give them what they need.
So it's not just calories then, it's like
No.
really targeted nutrition.
It is.
Wow, what about protecting babies from getting sick?
Yeah, breast milk is full of antibodies,
Okay.
especially one called immunoglobulin A or IgA.
IgA.
Yeah, you can think of it like a shield against those common infections like ear infections and diarrhea.
Right.
Those can be tough for little ones.
Definitely.
So that protection is a huge plus.
It's like a natural defense system.
Yeah.
And what about bonding?
Oh, that's a big one.
That's got to be one of the biggest things people think about with breastfeeding.
During breastfeeding, your body releases oxytocin, which is often called the love hormone.
The love hormone.
Yeah, and it doesn't just help you bond with your baby.
Right.
It also helps with your recovery after birth.
Postpartum recovery.
Exactly.
So there are benefits for mom, too.
Absolutely.
We've heard that breastfeeding can actually reduce the risk of certain cancers
That's right.
and help with weight loss.
It can.
And of course, it's free.
Always available.
Yeah, no late-night bottle sterilizing.
That's right.
So breastfeeding is convenient, cost-effective,
Okay.
but we've got to acknowledge it's not always easy.
Yeah, there can be some real challenges.
Right.
Some moms experience physical discomfort, you know?
Oh, yeah. Sore nipples.
Exactly. Or even infections.
Wow.
And others have trouble producing enough milk.
Right.
And those hurdles can be really tough emotionally, too.
So it's important to be realistic about the downsides.
Definitely.
It's not always sunshine and rainbows.
It's a big lifestyle change.
It is.
It impacts work, social events, even sleep.
And there are some cases where breastfeeding just isn't medically advisable.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you're on certain medications or
Yes.
have a health condition like HIV.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
So let's look at the other side of the coin, formula feeding. What are the advantages there?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is flexibility.
Uh,
It means you can share the feeding responsibilities.
Right.
Give mom a much-needed break.
And dad or a partner can get involved.
Absolutely.
Right. It means mom's not the only one on duty at 3 a.m.
That's right.
Another advantage of formula is the precise measurements,
Yeah,
which can be really helpful for babies with specific dietary needs.
absolutely.
So that level of control can be really reassuring.
You can.
Formula can also be more manageable for moms dealing with health challenges.
Right.
So it's a valuable alternative for those who can't or choose not to breastfeed.
It is.
But like anything, it has its drawbacks.
It does.
What are some of those?
The biggest one is that formula just can't replicate everything in breast milk. It lacks those natural antibodies.
Right.
So formula-fed babies might be more susceptible to infections.
That makes sense. And let's be honest, formula can get pretty expensive.
It's an ongoing cost.
It really is.
And some babies have digestive issues with formula, like constipation or gas.
Okay, so we've looked at both sides,
Yeah.
but let's dive a little deeper into some of the health benefits specifically linked to breastfeeding.
Okay.
We've heard it can actually help prevent certain diseases.
Right. It's a fascinating area.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that breast milk can significantly reduce the risk of some illnesses.
Like what?
Well, remember those IgA antibodies?
Yes.
They create a protective layer in your baby's airways.
Uh,
So they're less vulnerable to respiratory infections like colds, bronchitis,
wow.
even pneumonia.
So it's not just nutrition, it's like building their defenses from day one.
Exactly.
What about ear infections? Those are so common in babies.
Yeah, babies who are exclusively breastfed have a much lower risk of developing those painful ear infections.
Yeah.
And when it comes to tummy troubles, breast milk has beneficial stuff like probiotics,
Oh yeah, probiotic.
which helps them develop a healthy gut.
Okay.
So breastfed babies tend to have fewer gastrointestinal infections and diarrhea.
It sounds like breast milk is a real superhero.
It's pretty amazing.
What about long-term health advantages?
Well, research suggests that breastfeeding might actually reduce the risk of allergies and eczema later on,
Really?
especially for babies with a family history of those conditions.
So it's like training their immune system?
Yeah, modulating it so it doesn't overreact.
Fascinating. Are there any other long-term benefits?
There's even some evidence that breastfeeding might influence how their appetite is regulated,
Oh.
which could potentially reduce the risk of being overweight or obese later in life.
Wow, the benefits just keep going.
They do.
Now, there's another topic that comes up a lot with breastfeeding neurodevelopmental conditions, like autism and ADHD.
Yeah, this is a complex area.
It is.
It's important to remember that autism and ADHD are caused by a bunch of different factors, both genetic and environmental.
It's not just one thing.
Right. Breastfeeding isn't a magic cure.
But there has been research looking into the connections, right?
Yeah, scientists are still exploring this.
Okay.
But there are some interesting findings.
What have they found?
Well, when it comes to autism, some studies suggest that breastfeeding might offer a little bit of a protective effect.
Interesting. Why would that be?
There are a few theories being investigated.
Okay.
One possibility is that breast milk reduces inflammation in the baby's body.
So it's like creating a better environment for brain development.
Exactly. And breast milk is also packed with essential fatty acids like DHA.
Right. DHA is crucial for brain growth.
It is.
So it's not just about what's not in breast milk. It's about what is in it.
Exactly. It's providing those building blocks for healthy development.
What about the bonding aspect? Could that play a role too?
Another theory focuses on just that. The skin-to-skin contact and the release of oxytocin during breastfeeding might actually enhance social interaction.
Which can be challenging for kids with autism.
Right, so it's not just the milk itself, it's about the whole experience.
What about ADHD?
The research on ADHD is ongoing,
Yep.
but there are signs that breastfeeding might be linked to a lower risk.
Why is that?
Again, it probably comes down to the impact of breast milk on brain development.
Right.
DHA plays a big role in attention and impulse control.
And we know that inflammation can be a factor in ADHD.
That's right.
So could the anti-inflammatory properties of breast milk be contributing to a lower risk?
That's a possibility. Breastfeeding also helps to keep blood sugar levels stable.
Oh.
Which is good for kids with ADHD who often struggle with regulating their energy levels.
Interesting. And it seems like the longer a baby is breastfed, the stronger the protective effect is.
That seems to be the case.
So it's not just about whether a baby was breastfed, but for how long.
Yeah, it seems that continued exposure to all the good stuff in breast milk during those critical stages of brain development is key.
But again, it's important to remember that these are just potential links.
Right.
More research is needed.
This really shows how complex these conditions are.
Yeah.
And it's important not to oversimplify things.
Definitely breastfeeding alone can't prevent or cure autism or ADHD.
Right.
But it might be one piece of a much larger puzzle.
This has been eye-opening.
It has.
Especially when it comes to the decision of whether to breastfeed or formula feed.
Yeah.
It's not always black and white.
It's a nuanced decision with no easy answers.
You know, it's easy to look at all those benefits of breast milk and think it's always the best choice.
I get that.
But is that always the case?
Well, this idea of choosing for the baby versus choosing for yourself can actually be kind of misleading.
How so?
Well, it implies that moms who choose formula are putting their own needs before their babies.
Right.
Which isn't true at all.
It's a dangerous oversimplification. It is. There are so many factors that go into a mother's decision.
Like what?
Things like physical health.
Right.
Mental well-being.
Work situation.
Exactly. And access to support.
All of those things play a role.
Absolutely. And sometimes breastfeeding just isn't possible or sustainable.
Right.
So to assume that moms who choose formula are being selfish is just wrong.
Definitely.
It ignores the real challenges and limitations they might be facing.
And that can lead to a lot of guilt and judgment.
It can.
Which isn't helpful for anyone.
No. We need to move away from this idea that breastfeeding is the only right choice.
So how do we do that?
Well, first we acknowledge that there's no universal best choice.
Okay.
It's about finding what works for each individual family.
Right.
That might mean exclusively breastfeeding.
Okay.
Exclusively formula feeding.
Or a combination.
Exactly. It's about giving parents the information and support they need to make the best choice for their situation.
Without feeling pressured or judged.
Exactly.
So we need to support mothers no matter what they choose.
We do.
That means access to lactation consultants.
Right.
And accurate information about formula feeding.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget about partner support.
Oh, that's crucial.
Partners can play a huge role in this.
They can.
Whether it's practical help,
yeah,
emotional support,
right,
or just respecting mom's decision.
It's a team effort.
It is.
And when everyone's on the same page, it creates a much more positive environment for the whole family.
This has been so insightful.
It has.
It's really highlighted how personal this decision is.
It is.
And how important it is to consider each family's unique circumstances.
Absolutely.
We've seen all this amazing evidence about the benefits of breast milk.
We have.
But we've also recognized that it's not always the best option.
Right.
Or even possible for every mother.
It's about finding that balance
It is.
between supporting the baby's needs and the mother's well-being.
It's easy to get caught up in this idea that breastfeeding is the only way to give a baby the best start.
It is.
But that thinking can actually be harmful.
Yeah, it puts so much pressure on moms.
It does.
And it ignores all the other factors that contribute to a child's health and happiness.
We've learned that a mother's mental and physical health are just as important as her baby's nutritional needs.
Absolutely.
If a mother is struggling with breastfeeding to the point of exhaustion or anxiety,
Right?
it's not doing anyone any good.
No, it's not.
In those situations, formula can be a much healthier option
It can.
for both mom and baby.
For the whole family.
It's about finding a solution that works for everyone
Exactly.
and respecting the choices parents make based on their own unique situations.
I agree.
This conversation has really challenged the idea that breastfeeding is always the superior choice.
It has.
And it's encouraged us to think more broadly about all the different factors that come into play.
Absolutely.
And to recognize that the best choice is the one that leads to the greatest health and happiness for both mother and baby.
For the whole family.
And that choice might look different for every family.
It will.
This conversation about infant feeding is far from over.
It's an ongoing dialogue.
It is, and it's so important that we continue to approach it with open minds, empathy, and a commitment to supporting all parents.
I agree.
Because ultimately, we want to create a world where every baby has the best possible start in life,
Absolutely.
regardless of how they're fed.
That's the goal.
So we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Have you faced any challenges or made any decisions related to infant feeding that you'd like to share?
We believe that every parent's experience is valuable
It is.
and can help us all understand this issue better.
So please join the conversation.
Yes, leave a comment below and share your experience.
We're eager to hear your perspective and learn from you.
This is a safe space for open and honest dialogue.
It is.
So let's keep this important conversation going.
Together.
This has been a fascinating look at the complexities of infant feeding.
It has been.
We've explored the science,
The research,
the personal stories,
the societal pressures.
and we've come to the conclusion that there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
There isn't.
The best choice is the one that promotes the health and happiness of both mother and baby.
And the whole family.
And that might involve breastfeeding,
Formula feeding.
or a combination of both,
It's about respecting individual circumstances.
preferences, and building a community of support and understanding for all parents.
Absolutely.
We hope this deep dive has empowered you to make informed decisions.
And to feel confident in your choices.
We encourage you to continue this conversation.
With your friends.
And healthcare providers.
Remember, you are not alone in this journey.
You're not.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of infant feeding.
It's been a pleasure.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
but there's always more to learn
There is.
if you're interested in exploring this topic further.
Check out the resources in the show notes.
And if you have any questions or comments,
Please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to support you on your parenting journey.
we are.
Before we go, we want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
The decision of how to feed your baby is a deeply personal one,
It is.
and it's a choice that should be made with careful consideration and without judgment.
Absolutely.
Trust your instincts,
Seek support when you need it.
and most importantly, do what feels right for you and your family.
Yeah, that's the best advice.
We believe in you,
We do.
and we're here to cheer you on every step of the way.
Every step.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Explained by AI.
Thanks for joining us.
And remember, there's no shame in seeking guidance from healthcare professionals, lactation consultants, or even experienced parents.
That's right.
They can provide valuable insights and support tailored to your specific situation.
They can.
Ultimately, the goal is to create a nurturing and loving environment where your baby can thrive.
That's what it's all about.
And that starts with taking care of yourself.
It does.
We've explored the benefits and drawbacks of both breastfeeding and formula feeding.
We have.
We've delved into the scientific research and acknowledged the emotional complexities surrounding this decision.
It's a big decision.
It is. And we've emphasized the importance of making informed choices that prioritize the well-being of both mother and baby.
That's the key.
We hope this deep dive has provided you with the knowledge and confidence to navigate the world of infant feeding.
And to make choices that align with your values and circumstances.
Remember, every family's journey is unique, and there's no right or wrong answer.
Trust your instincts.
Seek support when needed.
And celebrate that incredible bond you share with your baby.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for being here.
Do you have any topic that you would like to have explained?
Drop it in the comments. Yeah, it's about recognizing that every family is different and their needs are different.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to feeding a baby.
Exactly. It's about moving away from those rigid rules.
Right.
And really embracing a more holistic view.
Yeah. What's truly best for the family? We spent all this time talking about the benefits of breast milk,
The science.
the science behind it.
Yeah.
But we also have to recognize that it might not always be the best choice for every mother.
Right.
And it might not even be a possibility for some mothers.
Exactly.
It's been eye-opening to see how complex this issue really is.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in this idea that breastfeeding is the only way to give a baby the best start in life.
But that kind of thinking can be really harmful.
It can.
It puts so much pressure on mothers.
It really does.
And it ignores all those other factors that are just as important for a child's well-being.
Exactly.
We've learned that a mother's mental and physical health are just as important as the baby's nutrition.
Absolutely.
You know, if a mother's struggling with breastfeeding,
To the point of exhaustion,
anxiety.
resentment.
Yeah, it's not benefiting anyone.
No, it's not good for mom. It's not good for baby.
And in those cases, formula can really be a lifesaver. It allows the mother to prioritize her own health and well-being.
Which in turn helps the baby.
Exactly.
So it really is about the whole family unit.
It's about respecting the choices that parents make
Yeah.
based on their own individual circumstances and what they're going through.
I completely agree.
This deep dive has really challenged this oversimplified idea that breastfeeding is always the best.
Always superior.
Yeah.
It's just not that simple.
And it's really encouraged us to consider all the different factors at play.
Absolutely.
And to realize that the best choice
Is the one that leads to the best outcome for everyone.
for mom, for a baby,
For the whole family.
and that might look different for every family.
It will.
This conversation about infant feeding, it's not over.
It's definitely ongoing.
It is. And it's so important that we continue to have these conversations in a way that's open and honest and supportive of all parents.
I agree.
We want to create a world where every baby thrives,
That's the goal.
regardless of how they're fed.
Absolutely.
So we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this?
What challenges have you faced?
What decisions have you made related to infant feeding?
We want to know.
Yeah. Share your experiences with us.
Because every parent's story is valuable.
It is.
And it helps to create a more complete picture of this complex issue.
So join the conversation, leave a comment below, and tell us about your journey.
This is a safe space to be open and honest.
It is.
So let's keep this conversation going.
Together. Yeah. It's all about finding that balance.
Finding what works for everybody.
Supporting mom and baby.
Because their well-being is really intertwined.
Yeah. We often talk about what the baby needs.
Right.
Which makes sense, but we sometimes forget that a happy, healthy mom is the foundation for a happy, healthy baby.
It's true.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You have to take care of yourself first.
And this whole conversation has given us a lot to think about when it comes to supporting mothers,
Yeah. How can we do better?
regardless of how they choose to feed their babies.
Right.
Less judgment, more understanding,
Exactly.
more resources, more empathy.
And recognizing that everyone's journey is different.
Exactly.
Mm.
There's no one right way to do this parenting thing.
That's a powerful message.
It is. It takes the pressure off.
Let's parents focus on what matters.
That bond with their baby.
Exactly. Creating a loving, supportive environment.
So what are your thoughts?
What resonates with you?
What stands out from all this information?
What have your experiences been like?
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
We'd love to hear from you.
This conversation, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's a journey toward greater understanding and support for all parents.
Do you have any topic that you would like to have explained?
Drop it in the comments.